I was telling someone what's right to eat. It sounds so wrong to somebody who's been told what's right to eat is wrong, that it's just...
I know, and you know, and it's been a whole generation, and it's been so pounded into us that now you try to explain this to people, and they're like, that can't possibly be right. Yeah. What they don't realize is if you talk to your great-grandma, she would have told you to eat what I'm telling you to eat.
Exactly.
Your great-grandma would have said, well, those potatoes, you know, yeah, they're okay, but they're kind of fattening, and that bread's fattening, and that sugar's fattening. Your great-grandma would have told you that. Your great-grandma would have said, you need to eat your bacon. That's good for you. That keeps you strong. They knew that. And then we came along and thought we knew better. And when people say, oh, that can't be right, that can't be right, it sounds like this radical new concept. Well, the radical new concept was the low-fat diet. When people talk about, oh, the Atkins, that's a fad diet. No, the fad diet was the low-fat diet. Throughout all of human history, that was never the diet. Humans never sat around and go, how do we get the fat out of our diet? Human societies, they sought out fatty foods. They knew fatty foods were good for them. Then the low-fat diet was the fad that didn't work, but because it's been pounded into us for a whole generation, now you try to tell people, no, fat's not bad for you, and they look at you like you're nuts. But again, that will change. But I share your anger.
Yeah.
You know, I spent a lot of time as a fat, weak kid, embarrassed to, I remember it would be gym class, and it would be, they always divide the boys up, shirts and skins. You know, I guess they can't afford two colors of T-shirts, and they would shirts and skins. And I remember just thinking, please don't make me be on the skins. I don't want to take my shirt off. You know, well, I didn't have to be that kid. And all the time as an adult, you know, every January you start the diet and you lock down. I'm going to eat low fat. I'm going to cut my calories, which works a little bit
for a while.
And then you stall for biochemical reasons. Then you stall. And then you don't lose weight, and then you blame yourself. And then by about March, you're going, to hell with it, this isn't working anyway, why am I torturing myself?
Yeah.
And then next year you start it again. So then when you realize how wrong all this was, in my case, you said 68, in my case, I finally figured it out as I was pushing 50, and changed the diet, and suddenly like, oh, I didn't have to be a fat guy. I didn't have to be a weak kid. And you know, the bad diet doesn't just make you fat, it makes you weak. And it causes your body to start consuming its own muscles. And you look back on all that and you think, my life didn't have to be like it was. I'm not saying it was a horrible life, but it could have been so much better.
Yeah.
I didn't have to be the fat, weak kid in school.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have to be the guy who didn't want to ask out the pretty girl because why would she be interested in me? I'm a fat kid. You know, so I share your anger.
And the other thing that I did as a struggling Weight Watcher, I would diet to be cute at my daughter's wedding or diet for our class reunion, and so I would yo-yo between, I'd play with 30 pounds over. I've probably lost 150 pounds, but it's 30.
In 30-pound chunks.
Chunks,
yeah,
yes.
Right,
and
over and over.
Over and over.
Right.
And what I also did was judge fat people that you are slovenly, you have no willpower,
right.
You don't have, and the freedom to not, psychologically, to not judge a person who's obese now because it's not their fault.
And they can't help it, and believe me, they've tried. They have tried to lose that weight, but they've tried it following bad advice, which fails. And then they blame themselves, and everybody else blames them.
Yes.
And they were given the wrong advice, and they didn't stand a chance.
Yes.